In an emotionally charged moment earlier today, Prince William, known for his composed and steadfast demeanor, was visibly moved as he shared some of the most devastating news of his life with his 11-year-old son, Prince George. The heartbreaking news was about King Charles III's diagnosis of cancer, a moment that has sent shockwaves through the royal family and the world. It is a moment that encapsulates not only the strength and resilience of the royal family, but also the deeply human side of their lives that often remains hidden from the public eye. This moment was more than just a revelation, it was a crossroads in the life of young George, the future king, as he was forced to confront the fragility of life and the harsh reality that even the most enduring figures in his life, like his grandfather, are not invincible. It's a moment that has left many with tears in their eyes and a deep sense of empathy for a family that, despite their public stature, is not immune to the heartbreaks of everyday life. As we unpack the details of this profound event, we begin to understand the complexities of family life behind the palace walls and the immense weight that comes with being part of a family whose every move is scrutinized. This news not only changes the course of the royal family's future, but also paints a new picture of what it means to be part of this historic dynasty. Prince William, ever the figurehead of duty and composure, found himself in an incredibly vulnerable position. Having to inform his young son of his grandfather's cancer diagnosis was a moment that would test any parent's emotional fortitude. William, who had spent so many years standing as the pillar of strength for his family, now had to navigate the delicate task of sharing heartbreaking news with his son. It was no ordinary father-son conversation. It was a conversation that had the potential to forever alter the course of George's understanding of life, duty, and the responsibilities that lay ahead. The weight of this news was not lost on William, who had already been grappling with several emotional challenges within his family over the past year. Just a few months prior, he had received the crushing news that his beloved wife, Catherine, was battling cancer, a diagnosis that left the family in turmoil. On top of that, William's aunt, Sarah Ferguson, was undergoing treatment for skin cancer. And now, the added strain of his father's health problems, a second cancer diagnosis, left William feeling both overwhelmed and helpless. The strength he had shown throughout these tribulations, however, was something he had inherited from his mother, Princess Diana. Despite her tragic death, Diana's legacy of resilience and unwavering love for her children had shaped William into the man he was today. A man who, though struggling with immense personal grief, would not allow himself to falter in front of his children. It was that same strength that he relied upon as he prepared to break the news to George. When the moment finally arrived, Prince George, though just 11 years old, handled the news with a remarkable maturity that belied his age. The task of explaining such a profound and devastating reality to his son was never going to be easy, and yet, as any parent will tell you, there is no right way to share such tragic news. William, with his heart heavy, began by carefully explaining to George that his grandfather, King Charles III, was very ill and that he was facing a serious health challenge. George's reaction was one of quiet contemplation, but it was clear that the weight of the news had already begun to sink in. He had always been close to his grandfather, spending much of his childhood with him at various royal events and private family gatherings. King Charles had been a constant presence in George's life, and to hear that he was fighting such a debilitating illness left George with a sense of sadness and uncertainty that only a child of his age could truly feel. In the midst of this painful conversation, George asked the question that every parent dreads: will Grandpa get better? It was an innocent question, yet it spoke volumes about the deep love and concern George had for his grandfather. William, torn between protecting his son from the harsh realities of life and the need to be honest with him, responded with great care. "We hope so, George, but we don't know. We have to wait and see." The uncertainty of the situation only added to the heaviness of the moment. It is in these small, seemingly insignificant exchanges that we see the true impact of the royal family's trials. The emotional toll it takes on a young child, who is still in the process of discovering the world around him, is immeasurable. For George, this moment marked the beginning of his transition from an innocent child to someone who would one day inherit the weight of the monarchy and the legacy of his ancestors. Prince George, though still so young, is already being groomed to one day take on the title of Prince of Wales, and eventually, the King of the United Kingdom. At just 11 years old, the gravity of this responsibility is something he is only beginning to grasp. As the firstborn son of Prince William and Catherine, George's life has been one of careful preparation. Despite the public nature of his family's life, his parents have worked diligently to shield him from the pressures that come with his royal destiny. They have been determined to give him as normal a childhood as possible, allowing him to experience life like any other child would, free from the weight of royal obligations, at least for a time. However, as George reaches the age where he can begin to comprehend the seriousness of his future role, his parents have made the decision to slowly prepare him for what lies ahead. This was the reason why, at the age of 7, they chose to share with him the truth about his royal destiny. Robert Lacey, a royal historian, has noted that 7 is a pivotal age in a child's life, a time when they are old enough to understand the concept of responsibility, but still young enough to retain a sense of normalcy and childhood innocence. It was at this age that George learned the weight of his future role as a future monarch. The decision to wait until George was 7 to share this information speaks to the thoughtful and measured approach that William and Catherine have taken in raising their children. They have always prioritized their children's emotional well-being and independence, knowing that the time would come when George would need to understand the full scope of his responsibilities. But even as they prepared him for the future, they did everything in their power to ensure that he could enjoy his childhood without the ever-present shadow of royal duty looming over him. The royal family has faced numerous challenges in recent months, not just in terms of public scrutiny, but also in the very personal health battles that some of its members are enduring. King Charles III's cancer diagnosis is just the latest in a series of trials that have tested the family's strength and unity. For Prince William, these challenges have come one after another, each one more difficult than the last. Despite the immense pressures that come with being part of the royal family, William has always been determined to maintain a sense of normalcy for his children. However, as we have seen, that sense of normalcy has been increasingly hard to preserve. As the health of King Charles continues to be uncertain, the question arises, what will happen next for the royal family? Will Prince William be called upon to assume more responsibility in the coming months? And what will the future hold for young Prince George, who is now beginning to understand the gravity of the role he will one day play in the monarchy? As King Charles faces the challenges of his health, the monarchy itself is at a crossroads. The future of the British royal family will, in many ways, be shaped by how they navigate this period of crisis. Prince William, already a central figure in the monarchy, is likely to take on even more responsibility, as the health of his father continues to decline. For Prince George, this moment represents the beginning of a new chapter in his life. He is no longer just a boy growing up in the royal family. He is now someone who must come to terms with the fact that, in the not-so-distant future, he will be the one to carry the weight of the monarchy on his shoulders. As he grows older, George will face the same challenges that his father, grandfather, and great-grandfather faced before him, the constant balancing act between personal life and public duty, between family loyalty and the responsibilities of being a monarch. The future of the royal family is uncertain, but one thing is clear, the strength and resilience that have always defined this family will continue to guide them through whatever comes next. As the world watches, we can only hope that Prince George, the future king, will be able to carry on the legacy of his family with the same grace and courage that his ancestors have shown throughout history.